Hello everyone, and good morning or good afternoon depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Annabelle Chaplin from the Business Review and I will be your host. It's our pleasure to have Baumer Electric AG with us today, who will be discussing intelligent sensor solutions in the food and beverage industry. Today's guest speaker is Stefan Blust, the Global Business Manager for Food and Beverage at Baumer Electric AG. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar platform On24. You'll notice that this webinar is browser-based, so if you disconnect for any reason, please just click on the link that you received via email to rejoin the session. In order to ask questions, you can send them in via the questions widget, which is located at the bottom of the page. Just type your question into the box at the top left-hand corner of your screen and click Submit. We will allocate around 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session to address any questions or thoughts that you may have. If you click on the survey widget, there are a few questions in there for you to answer in order to provide feedback, and you can do this after the webinar. If you click on the green resource list widget, you will find some PDF files relevant to this webinar. Please use the yellow help widget if you require any assistance. You can move, resize and maximize the windows in front of you to get a better view of the slides. But now, please allow me to welcome Stefan Blust.
Thank you, Annabelle. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining this webinar today. I will speak about intelligent sensor in the environment of food and beverage industry. And my name is Stefan Blust. I am 39 years old. I'm working now for over 7 years in the field of factory automation and dedicated to solve application in the consumer environment and focused on food and beverage. During this webinar, you will get an overview of food and beverage, market drivers, the market in general from processing till end-of-line packaging, why hygienic design is so important and how to realize this in sensors. We also show you a dilemma between the optimization and food safety, how to improve processes there. And during the webinar, I will also raise a question to you where we would like to hear your opinion. But first, I would like to introduce our company, Baumer, with just 3 slides. Well, actually, Baumer is a sensor manufacturer of positioning and process sensors, as well as encoders, motion controllers and vision sensors, and also cameras. We are based in Switzerland. There's our headquarters, and we have 2,300 employees worldwide. Our turnover is about 400 million Swiss francs. And we have the global coverage of the company with over 19 countries and with 37 locations. But Baumer is facing the demand of sensor solutions also in several industries, with a strong focus on the food and beverage industry, as you can see here. I highlighted this on the left down corner. Baumer determination of about food and beverage is as follows. When we look, for example, on the dairy vertical process chain, we see from the left to the right the farming, the logistic, the processing, the primary packaging, the secondary packaging, the end-of-line packaging, and the logistics. And everything within the green box is, for us, the food and beverage area, which we are focusing on. You see a lot of different applications listing up here, storing, for example, mixing, blending, filtration in the different areas. And we divide food and beverage into the process area, where the food is being processed and mixed and manufactured, and then into the packaging area, which is the primary, secondary, and end-of-line packaging. Each segment has a lot of different equipments there, as I said, and I'm coming later to these applications. But what influences this chain, and where does it come from, actually? Now I'm coming, next slide, the main driver in the industry. Here are some main drivers that influence the industry. For example, since 1950, the world population grows steadily, and the more developed countries, as you can see here on the bottom, they have very slow increase till 2015, and up then stagnation. The less developed countries have a much higher increase. This will be the reason for doubling the population within a lifetime of a generation. And the United Nations expects to reach more than 9.7 billion until 2050. That causes a lot of problems, of course, and efforts to feed all of us in the future. So where are the less development and where are the more developed areas? This slide will show you. Here you see an overview of the population development by regions. It shows clearly in the developing areas as much higher increase of the population than in the already developed regions. That means that we must think about regional different models and solutions on how we will distribute food and how we will reach the people. And coming to the next slide, let's see, during the next 5 decades, we will have a more older generation in the more developed countries and the younger generation in the less developed countries, as I said. That means we have to offer different products for each people, for each agers. And at the moment, we are about 50-50. 50% of the world population lives in urban areas and 50% lives in rural areas. Till 2050, the European Environmental Agency predicts that over 75% of the people will live in cities and only 25% in the countryside. So here you see the consumer cycle of an average U.S. citizen, 48 years old, with an average income of $63,000. In good times, they spend this percentage of expenditure for each product. But in bad times, consumers spend also money for food and tobacco and alcoholics and healthcare. That means that the food and beverage is always a very constant and stable industry also in bad times. So this is a good thing. And coming to the next main trend, here you see an overview. The Federal Statistic Office in Wiesbaden in Germany pointed out that since 2011, the amount of packaging machines produced are decreasing and the value of packaging machines are steadily growing. That means the average value package machine is rising. The reason for this development is due to the trend of food safety using more hygienic design, equipment and components, and not at least the increasing demand of more flexibility in the packaging machines. Sensor will have more intelligence and also more value in the future, but food safety will steadily grow the cost driver, because food safety is the main topic still. So coming to food safety again, we'll see the food safety trends, and because the image for big companies is very important, it is also very dangerous to lose the image. So here are some examples of food safety problems that we had in the last years. And here we have the E. coli horror, for example. 4 children died, and over 170 suffered kidney and brain damage after getting an E. coli from fast food chain Jack in the Box. Here we have a picture of the problem that tainted baby milk powder was found in China. And you have bottled water. Dasani, the Coca-Cola pure water company, was relegated to be treated tap water in 2004, bottles were recalled in the UK after bromate was found. This is a chemical that increased the risk of cancer. And in 2005 in Australia were armed by a very strange phenomenon in their fridge. Their pork chops were more luminous than their fridge light. The meat literally glows in the dark. And then they also find toxic oil in olive oils. And there was also a disease where they sold pigs pork. So basically, food safety is a very big topic, which is leading the trend, actually. So what are the conclusions, and how does this affect the OEMs or the machine builder and the end user and the producer, and also us as a sensor supplier? So everything stays different. The future will have different demographics. Older people have a different food behavior than younger, and more single needs to be focused in our more individual way. Less time and different time for early causes, the need for changing distribution structure. Changing customer behavior will cause new eating systems, like McDonald's. Less time for eating will mean also less time for prepare. That means convenience will stay one of the main key trends. The share of ready-to-eat will grow, of course. Health and wellness will be more important. We will see more functional food also in the beverage industry. Yeah, also ethic food and vegan food will grow. And what does mean in terms of product variation, individualization, different product packaging, decreasing quantities, increasing demand of food safety, increasing lost times in production. So there is a big demand of solutions to fulfill the market's trend. But how big is the actual food and beverage market? So I'm now coming to the market figures. 2015, the global retail volume or value of packaged food was more than 2.1 billion US dollars. And the main segments are meat, dairy, baked goods, and confectionery. But when you look at the other food sectors, you will see that the liquid food will play a major role in this overview. So actually, beverages have the biggest share in this overview. In 2020, there will be an assumption of up to $2.6 billion. When we look into the packaging market, and you will see the global food processing and packaging machine market was 2012, 33 billion euros, big. And the biggest exporting countries, they are Germany, Italy, US, Netherlands, and China. And in China, the needs for machines is very big. That is why it is in this overview, China is at the fourth place, because they basically use their machines almost for their own domestic market and not so much for export. In Germany, for example, it's different. They have a much higher export rate. So now I'm coming to the hygienic zones. I'm coming back to more technical topic, and I would like to show you the differences between the three zones. In the food zone, for example, let's see here, right? In the food zone, the food is in contact with the equipment, as you can see here on the picture. In the splash zone, which is zone B, the food is usually already in the first package, but still open, here in a filling station. And in the dry zone, the food is completely closed, so there's no problem with contamination. So in a more detailed view, I want to show you zone A. The risk of contamination is very high. Zone A has a very strong hygienic requirement. Here we have a high frequent cleaning with cleaning agents. In Zone B, the splash zone, we have a medium risk of contamination. Cleaning is less frequent and less intensive. And in Zone C, we have no risk of contamination. Usually this zone gets only dry cleans. So now I would like to hand over to Annabelle, because there is now a question coming for you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Audience members, it's now time for the first poll that will be running in today's session. Please select the answers that is relevant to you and then click Submit. Today's polling question and selection of answers are: what is the future sensor for food and beverage? Please select three for you the most important aspects when you think about sensors for food and beverage. And your options are IP.69K stainless steel, IP69K plastic, energy consumption, IO-Link, wireless, easy installation, sensor with display, standard portfolio, compact size, or manipulation safe. Please select three and then click on Submit. Okay, so we'll have a look at the results now. Stefan, we have sensor with display at 46.7, wireless at 46.7, and manipulation safe at 46.7. Are those results what you were expecting?
Actually, I wasn't really expecting these results, but it is very interesting to see that wireless plays such a big importance to the audience. Usually there are different possibilities about wireless sensors, and we can, of course, parameterize a sensor wireless. This is already possible with IO-Link, and we have also the possibility to put power on the sensor in a wireless way. This is not yet developed, but this is, I'm not sure if this is meant by the wireless overview. And sensor with display, of course, this is also a little bit surprising, because usually in a production area there is some stand, a system stand, where you will find all overview of your equipment. So there is usually no need so much for a display directly at the machine. But looks like, maybe especially for producers, it's quite valuable when they have a display in front, so they really see where is the problem. And this is quite understandable. And manipulation safe is actually something that everyone has. This is not very new for us, and we offer here a quite nice solution with our Q-Teach sensors, where we make the sensor manipulation safe. So we will come to that later during the presentation, Annabelle.
Okay, thank you very much, audience members, for taking part in today's poll. Stefan, do continue with your presentation.
Sure, Annabelle, thank you. So now I'm coming to more detailed hygienic design and hygienic connections. Now we are here on this page. On the left you see the level switch clever level with a plastic peak tip in front. On the right you see the ISO clamp with a hole in the center. And here we can screw in the whole sensor in order to have a perfect sealing at the cutting edge. You see this in the drawing in the middle. A hygienic connection in accordance to EHEC, this is possible. It's just an example how a connection can be, and this belongs to many sensors that I will introduce now. Due to different requirements from different segments, from the meat, from dairy industry, and so on, and also from the countries, we offer an extensive portfolio of hygienic process connections. You need to have these connections in order to put in the sensor in each application. And these connections may mainly be used by producers or as well as end users. And for the OEMs or for the machine builder, we have welding connections and to exchange other sensors. There are also adapters available. You see them below, where we first screw the sensor in the adapter and then the complete sensor adapter system in the application, for example, in an ISO clamp. And then we are done. All of our process sensors, here you see, for example, our conductivity sensor works with some kind of adapter principle. For example, in the CIP equipment, clean in place, which is the next slide, is an application from the food and beverage industry. Clean in place is an equipment in the food and beverage industry, as I said, that being used to clean many production lines without disassembling. In production, there is always a dilemma between reduction of energy costs and food safety. On one side, the treatment with high temperature during a long term increase food safety, but on the other side, the costs of loss of energy, resources, and money. The right concentration of ley and acid is responsible for a good cleaning result and important to realize food safety. For the dosing of caustic and acid, this measurement of the conductivity is very important. To adjust these the right way is really, really important. Here you see in 3 locations. Here you see the lines where it comes and where it goes into the equipment. And here is one at the top, the return pipe for the media separation and the cleanliness measurement of the media. And below you see also 2 sensors here, indicated here, used for dosing and for the right concentration, that the cleaning is very effective. I'm now coming to the next product principle. This is the magnet sweep sensor. And this magnet sweep sensor is a level sensor, as you can say, or we call it clever level. It's a sensor to detect the level of the liquid and also solids due to their decay value. It can even detect the difference between foam and liquid. And many applications can be solved with this sensor. It will show you some major ones where the product gives a real benefit. This you will see on the next slide. Here you see an application inside a pipe close in front of the pump and to prevent the pump running dry. That means you can see inside the tip of the sensor, which I show you here on the left side, and inside the pump the tip of the sensor touches the surface of the liquid and detects it. This is hygienic designed inside. Next application is, here you can see an application where it's important to fade out the foam, but the sensor can be set up to detect only foam as well. So you can decide whether you want to detect the foam or just the liquid. And here is an application example from a tank where you detect the overfilling and the low level. And here you can see on the top coming out foam, just for as an example. When you have the sensor inside and parameterized on foam, you can detect the foam and you will have no overspill with the sensor. So the process is safe, especially when there are chemicals inside. You don't want to have foam coming out. Here you see an example from a silo, bulk solid food being processed. In the past, foods got stuck in the funnel. As you can see here, the funnel is a little bit damaged because the people, they hit against this equipment to loosen the food inside. The granulates stuck inside. And since we have this sensor inside, we detect if there are jams inside, so the customer can solve the problem in an early stage, and he has no problems then, their process. Here you have an application from a bakery plant where dough is being processed. This is a very sticky media, and our product can perfectly solve this with the sensor. And also here is a production factory of jam stuck in a swing fork on the right top. You see a swing fork, and this didn't work because it was always stuck in the middle. And since we have the possibility to fade out the thick adhesion of jam, the clear level sensor works quite well. Another application on top of the feeding tank, here is the need to detect an overfilling as well. And below you have a filling station where a bottle is below. And it's a very fast process, and the sensor has to switch very fast. Coming to the next application is media separation, and this we have in a pasteurization process. After a pasteurization process, the milk is pushed out of the pasteurizer with the help of water, and our sensor, they switch from milk to water. Result is a change of the signal drop, which can be recognized by this sensor, clever level, installed in a pipe. And this way the process is fully automated. So now I'm coming to our pressure sensors and to pressure sensors in hygienic design. As you can see in front, they have a flash sensor with a membrane, a stainless steel membrane in front. Here you will be able to install it also some of way like other sensors, similar, and also with a clamp, with an ISO clamp. These sensors are being used also to measure the level of the tank hydrostatically. Now I'm coming to some examples. Here you have in a dairy a filtration, a homogenization process, and in this example we can see a filtration and homogenization process equipment where the pressure sensor is installed in the circled areas with a display which monitors the process in order to keep up a constant homogenization process to realize a constant good product quality. And here we're coming into a very special area with a wine filling machine where a pressure sensor sits in the carousel, in the filling device, and this multi-head filling machine is for sparkling wine and still wine, and the pressure transmitters are installed on each filling head and detects the pressure inside the bottle in different filling phases to tell the system if everything is okay. If the bottle is detected, is there a leakage in the bottle? Is there a leakage in the sealing? Or is N2 insert, a gas, still available in order to have food safety also in the wine filling process? And here we have an application of a spirits filling machine. This is on the top of the filling machine, a picture, and it measures the head pressure inside the ring tank in order to be sure here is a safe atmosphere, always presents due to food safety. So now we come into temperature sensors. There are different kind of temperatures also with display and without display. Here are some hygienic temperature also on the right corner, new lines. At the bottom shows us a new concept with higher hygienic responsibility. Last sensor at the right is a front flash hygienic sensor. This can be used for many applications, where is a pedal in a boiling tank, for example, or a mixing tank. And Also coming back to this clean-in-place application, temperature is a very important information inside this to monitor in order to reach enough food safety, because temperature must be reliably measured and stored. And this sensor has even a display who can show the operator if there is a problem. So now we're coming to positioning sensors, to our optical sensor line, and you see here an evolution of an optical sensors over the last years to develop a modern and standard hygienic design sensor. And on the left you see the older version, on the right the new version, and due to the usage in the food zone, if as a special housing made of stainless steel and a special mounting device, the sensor was really developed to have no gaps, no holes, no sharp edges, and radius to avoid areas of bacteria growing. This is the hygienic design in optical sensors. Now we're coming to the accessories for food zones that we have in positioning sensors. Here you see on the left side hygienic mountings, which we use to mount the optical sensors, for example. And in the middle we have hygienic reflectors. At the top, a real reflector, and below, just the pole is just a metal part and is called a smart reflector. I'm coming to this later in an application where I will show you that Baumer has developed this smart reflect technology in the food and beverage industry, where you don't need a real reflector. Then a teach pen. It's a magnetic teach pen for hygienic teaching, and the cables, the hygienic cables. So here you will see now an overview or an introduction of how sensors get taught with hygienic design, because we have no teach button. It's just in the back, an area where we can hold this magnetic pen in the back, and you have then a teach process started, but only when you have this pen, and only in the beginning when you set up the sensor. And after it's one time set, it's you cannot change the settings. This is the good thing about manipulation safe. And this sensor also provides IO-Link. Actually, all of our sensors, new sensors provide IO-Link also, so you can remotely parameterize the sensor also. Here is another application for positioning sensors where we use this smart reflect technology, where you see we look at the wall of the machine housing, and this is our reflector reference. So the sensor doesn't need a real reflector. We just use the housing of the machine as a reflector. You see how it is installed with the hygienic mounting. And also here we have a very special sensor which detects transparent trays where the tomatoes are inside. Next, we have an application from the meat industry where we detect not transparent trays. It's basically a very similar application, but here you also need hygienic design. And then in the filling area of dairy or a juice manufacturing company where you have high hygienic standards because it's fresh, you also have this application. And here you have a very special version of this sensor. This is also a smart reflect sensor where we use the reflector as a conveyor belt. So our conveyor belt is the reflector, and we detect everything which is on the reflector. It's actually also possible for transparent material, so we can detect a transparent tray also from the top with moving conveyor belt. So now I am coming to maybe a little bit more unspectacular sensors, inductive sensors which detect metal parts. Also, these sensors have an hygienic housing, As you can see, we use these hygienic connections to fix the sensor in the machine. Same thing. And here you see an application, for example, for the measurement of meat thickness, which is an indirect measurement via this mechanical installation. This measures the distance of the metal part above the sensor, and we give an analog value out, and you have the thickness of the meat. And now for the completion. Actually, I am speaking about hygienic design today, but we also have sensors for the splash zone, for the B area, and here you can see these sensors. They have holes, and they have you can screw there. You have edges. It's just a different housing. The sensors are a little bit more cheaper, but it can withstand very high temperature, very high pressure, chemical resistance, IP69K without a problem. And we developed even a harder test, which is like a mark, a trademark or a mark for us, a stamp, Protect Plus. It's really a reliable sensor in this environment. We have special tests for that. So all sensors that use in the food and beverage area, they have different labels. The hygienic design label, for example, the EHEDGE label, which is coming from the dairy industry, basically FDA qualified materials, Ecolab certification regarding chemicals and cleaning agents. Then the V48 stainless steel housing, high temperature resistant, IP68, which is putting the sensor for long term below 1 meter of water level for 168 hours, and IP69K is cleaning protection against very strong cleaning and IO-Link as well. So now I'm coming to my end of the presentation of the webinar, and I would like to be happy. I'm very happy if you have questions that I can answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. So, audience members, as Stefan just said, if you do have any questions or comments that you'd like to address or Stefan to answer for you, then please do send them now, and hopefully we will have enough time to send them in. Okay, so we're going to go straight into the questions now. And the question which we are going to begin with, Stefan, is: does Baumer have also offer sensors for the dry zone?
Yes, definitely. We have also sensors for the dry zone, means from the end of, when you speak about the food and beverage area, it is the end of primary packaging until the end of line packaging. This is all the dry zone. And we have, of course, sensors without these performances that you need for hygienic design or washdown design, without doubt. With plastic housing, for example, we have also for dry zone.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. The next question is: does Baumer have only standard sensors, or do you also offer individual developments?
That's actually a very good question. We have both, actually. We have a very big standard portfolio, but we can also develop together with the customer specific sensor for his environment. This is one of the strengths of our company, that we are very flexible in making a special sensor for a specific application in a specific industry. This is our strength.
Okay, thank you very much. Will you be doing any webinars in the future?
Well, yes, I think this is quite obvious because the topic that we had today was very an overview of food and beverage. I really would like to go more into details, into specific application areas, maybe talk only about the meat industry, maybe talk about only the cleaning process and how this cleaning process can be developed in a positive way, reduce failure times, speak more precisely about the packaging area, almost maybe also about the dry zone. So this is for us very important that everybody understands us, what is our strengths in this area. So another webinar is quite reasonable.
Thank you very much for that question. The next question is, do you have sensors for coffee grains measuring temperature of coffee grains that are being toasted?
When I understand this question right, we have sensors to detect coffee grains. This is probably possible with our magnet sweep technology, and whether it is toasted or not maybe has to do with the decay value. This has to be tested, but I'm sure that it's just easy to find out. I've never had this application yet, but the amount of water in the coffee grain, it could be possible to detect the difference between if something was roasted or not. We need to go in further discussion, I think.
Thank you very much for that question. The next question is, do you have any information on inline sensors that measure for values like protein, fat, total solids, or other values that would usually be done with wet chemistry?
We can. When it's liquid, we can determine about different topics inside of the liquid. But if the liquid is inside of the meat, for example, to detect how much fat is inside of the meat, it is quite difficult. So technology is there. We just need to speak a little bit more about into detail of the application to give a very correct answer for that. But we can, of course, determine of different topics inside of the liquid. We don't measure pH value. This is something we don't offer, but we can measure the conductivity, and we can measure the decay value, and we can sweep through the decay value and determine about which kind of material it is. So we also have to see a little bit more about the application to be sure if we can solve that. I hope this is the answer for the question.
Thank you very much. The next question, Stefan, is, do you exhibit on special F&B related exhibitions?
Well, actually, yes. We are in next month. We are on 2 exhibitions. One is Baumer in Nuremberg in Germany, where we have our own stand and we show many applications in the world of brewery. And we have also different packaging exhibitions where we exhibit worldwide. And next packaging exhibition, I think, is in France, in Lyon, 2 weeks after the Brau. So we focus very much also on the food and beverage exhibitions, and we are happy to when we have a visitor from our webinar today.
Thank you very much. The next question is, will you be sharing this presentation with us?
Yes, of course. You will always be free to download this presentation online.
The next question is, Stefan, do you have any sensor for detecting scuff or glass bottle for X 300ml soft drink bottle?
I really don't understand for sure. Can you rephrase the question again?
Okay, Stefan. Do you have a sensor for detecting any scuffs, which may be on a glass bottle, for small soft drink bottles?
Mm-hmm. So if I understand right, scuffs are broken glasses, or is that right?
It would be like a mark, yes.
A mark, okay, false mark. We have actually vision cameras in our portfolio which can solve these problems, and we are working together with various vision specialist companies, integrators, where we can solve problems like that. We can probably help you with this application, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for sending in your questions. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for in today's Q&A session. So, Stefan, do you have any final words that you'd like to leave us with before we conclude today?
Yeah, I would like to thank you to the audience, to your attention, and if you have any questions, any additional questions, we have also a download section with a lot of material inside, and you have here on the last page of the presentation my contact. You can always contact me via email or on the phone. I will be happy to answer your question and help you, and maybe we will see each other in the next webinar presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you, Stefan. So again, that just leaves me to thank Stefan Blust for what was a great presentation, and to also thank Baumer Electric AG. To the attendees, you will receive an email shortly telling you how you can access the on-demand version of this webinar, or you can access this through our website, which is www.business-review-webinars.com. Once this webinar ends, today's survey will appear in its place, and we would appreciate it if you answer the questions in there. We look forward to sharing further webinars with you, so please do keep an eye out on the website just mentioned, and follow us on Twitter at BR Webinars for daily updates, and join our LinkedIn group, Business Review Webinars. Thank you once again, and I hope you all have a nice day.